You're listening to the Save the Date podcast, where we talk all things weddings, jewellery and romance. With love from Cullen Jewellery.
Hello and welcome back to the Save the Date podcast. I'm Sheridan.
And I'm Juliet, and we are so happy you're here.
Today we have Rosie joining us. Welcome, Rosie, to the Save the Date podcast.
I'm so excited to be here.
We are basically going to be talking all about weddings and wedding planning because Rosie is planning a wedding.
Bride to be.
I am. Show off the ring.
Oh, yes.
We love
very
her.
Nice.
She's so shiny.
So why don't you kick us off by telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
For sure. So I work full time in social media. I'm a social media strategist and then basically content create on the side. I create content on TikTok, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Most people don't know LinkedIn content creation, but I did that. I've been doing it for about 3.5 years, and that seems to be doing well. And that's basically me in a nutshell. If I'm not creating content or talking about weddings, I don't have much else to offer.
Yeah.
You are literally like the LinkedIn queen.
Yeah. I am the LinkedIn queen. I'm the LinkedIn weirdo at
You're
my
like
office.
the top 20 in Australia, is that
Yeah,
correct?
is that
Or top 50?
Top 30.
Top 30.
Wow.
But technically, I feel like it should be high because half of those are like politicians or
Oh.
athletes who have a big following but don't
Yeah.
really post.
Yeah.
So it feels like the results are not quite fair.
Yes.
But
So
I'm up there.
you're up there.
Self-proclaimed number one.
Yes.
Thank you. So humble.
Okay, so let's get into your proposal story. We want to hear all of the details about how that went down.
So rewind to August last year. It was my birthday, and my birthday present from my then boyfriend was a surprise weekend away in October. And he had written me a little card kind of describing the property, but had bleeped out a few things or redacted them. So I didn't know where we were going, but I knew we were going in October. And I thought, okay, this is it. We had done a practice run almost, he'd like bait and switch weekend earlier in the year, and I'd said a few things and he had taken all of that on board. And I thought, okay, this is it. It then gets to the week before we go away. That's when he starts being a little weird. He's asking me, are you driving to the office? Oh, can I have the car? Oh, do you need the car? Will you be home? Just asking a lot of what my schedule is going to be, and then didn't want to share a suitcase. And he said, which was weird because we were driving somewhere and usually we would just share a suitcase for a weekend away. And I thought, okay, this man's been real sus.
Yeah.
It then gets to the weekend away. So he'd booked us a beautiful ocean view place in Mount Martha down in Mornington Peninsula. And we arrived Thursday night after work. So we're there for 3 days. And I think, okay, this is it. 3-day weekend. He knew that I really wanted essentially a bubble for the two of us.
Yeah.
Time to celebrate, time for it to happen before telling anyone else. And then it gets to Friday. Friday morning, he says, okay, we've got lunch plans, we've got dinner plans, and a surprise afternoon activity. You can do whatever you want in the morning. And he's not a big beach person. And I said, oh, could we go to the beach? He said, yeah, of course, whatever you want. And then made sure I had enough time to get ready, enough time to film and get ready with me for TikTok. I thought, okay. My senses were tingling. I thought, this is it. And we drive to lunch, and he's like, oh, shoot, we're in the wrong location. I thought, oh, wrong location. Okay, yeah, that's happening. And I'm ready. I got hyped up, and we get to the different lunch spot, and we're just late to lunch. He actually just took us to the wrong spot. I said all of lunch being so sad and miserable. He's like, what's wrong? And I said, oh, well, I thought you were going to propose today. And he's like, well, it'll happen when it's meant to.
Yeah.
Just enjoy today. I've got a really nice afternoon plan. I said, okay, sure.
Yeah.
So kind of buried that thought. We spent the afternoon going winery to winery. That was our surprise.
Very nice. Oh,
He
cute.
was like my little tour guide.
Yeah.
And something we enjoyed doing was essentially going to wineries to check them out if they were future wedding venues. It was just like a little activity
Yeah.
we enjoyed doing, tasting wines. And it was a beautiful day in Mornington. And we got to the last winery and I've completely dropped my guard. I've started wearing sunglasses, ruining my makeup, didn't care. And he's like, oh, why are you wearing sunglasses? What if I still propose? You don't want to get makeup marks from sunglasses. And I thought, oh my gosh, this man is sending me through a loop. So we finish up and we get in the car. He's like, okay, we'll head home and then, we'll chill out for a bit, then we'll go to dinner. I thought, great, I'll change outfits. I wore this beautiful white dress all day thinking you were proposing. I guess I was wrong. get in the car and he goes silent. He's looking at me weird. He keeps checking his phone. He's really worried about what time we're getting and what time we left and what time the booking is. And I thought, maybe 1% chance that he has orchestrated something whilst we've been out all day. I thought, no, he's not capable. I was so wrong. We drive back to our accommodation. We're staying on the place is on a hill because it's overlooking the bay. And part of it is we have to drive up this big driveway to get to our accommodation. And as we drive up, the ocean's to our left and the accommodation's to our right. And we're right at the end of a bunch of houses. And he says, wow, look to your left. Look at that sunset. I thought, why are you making me look left? So I look right and I see there's a setup on the balcony of our accommodation. I burst into tears. And he had booked a photographer, orchestrated all of this stuff, had the photographer set everything up at the house whilst we were out. So it happened on the balcony. It was private. Yeah. All of these photos and flowers and candles and a photographer, and it was at sunset. Yeah. And it was the only day that weekend it didn't rain in Mornington because October in Melbourne is debatable the weather, unpredictable. And then we went to the beach for sunset photos, and he had booked a surprise dinner so I could get the debrief of the 6 to 12 months of planning.
Wow.
And
that is so cute.
And then we spent the weekend just in our bubble and didn't tell anyone till Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. I love that so much.
Cute.
I had to build the story up, you know?
Had he told anyone else? Like, did
he
ask
had
your parents
told
or
his
anything?
family, so his siblings and his parents.
Yeah.
That was it. So he knew if he had told my mum, bless her heart, that she might have blabbed because she just gets very excited.
Yeah.
She means very well.
Yeah.
But I wanted to also be the one to tell them and surprise them. Yeah. So he'd only told his family. Yeah. None of my friends, none of my family. And that's how I wanted it. I didn't want them to know before me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so cute.
How good is the after proposal debrief though?
I asked him so many questions. I was like, great, where did you hide the ring? How did you get it? What was the process? What were the secrets? Why did you buy this? How did you, look, I had so many questions. I'm a nosy gal.
He's stressing about where he had the ring the entire time.
Yeah, he actually had it hidden in his desk. He's got boxes stacked up under his computer at home. Yeah. And he hid it in there. But I'd found a few things around the house kind of in the months leading up to the proposal. Yeah. And I thought, okay, I'm not even going to look. Yeah. But he would be weird about it. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to put that back and just not worry. So I thought I'd found the ring. Yeah. Turns out it was candles.
That's cute.
That's so funny. I was kind of the same. I tried to clean out one of our closets.
Were you banned?
I think it was the week before I went to clean out one of the closets. He's like, no, don't clean out the closet yet. I don't want to do it yet. And I was like, why? That's so annoying. Yeah. And then, he's like, that's where the ring was.
Oh, yeah.
I would have literally seen it straight away.
Banned from checking under the bed because for some reason, we had a 21st birthday or a 30th that was tennis themed. And I thought, we never use the 3 items of tennis clothing we have from that one party we went to. Oh, I'll grab them from under the bed. He's like, no, I can do it. I was like, it's fine. I know exactly where they are. Yeah. No, don't look under the bed. Turns out that's where the archway was. That was part of the proposal. Yeah, massive, massive box that he'd hidden under our bed.
Oh my gosh.
So I feel you.
That's impressive.
That is very impressive.
I don't know how we did it.
Hiding one little ring box thing. Or package is one thing, but a whole
frame, a whole arch. I don't know how, but he did.
That's very impressive. And also props to you for actually being able to just go, okay.
The willpower to not.
I just didn't want to ruin it for myself. Yeah. Which took a lot of willpower.
That's
so good.
So while we're on the topic just of you and your partner, how did you guys meet and what was your first date?
We met on Hinge and I was very anti-online dating. I told myself I'm going to meet my soulmate in a bar or through a friend or at work or something. And I had been online dating for about 2 months and I was literally at my last stand. I was like, this is not working. Yeah. I'd had every failed date possible, an excuse under the sun. I thought we were just friends. Oh, I fell in love with my best friend. Oh, I met someone last night. And so when we matched on Hinge, I remember thinking to myself, okay, give this guy a chance. He's cute. but this is it. I can't be bothered to go on another date. And so we had our first date at Harlow, a bar in Richmond.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was my last first date.
Oh my God, that's cute.
I love that.
I haven't had much luck yet. With
We'll
good old
find you
Hinge.
someone, don't you worry.
Yes, it's quite dry. Hinge. Took the last one.
Yeah.
We'll find you a good fish.
We're always on the lookout, like around here, being like, is there anyone?
There's
Any
a
man in
few-
finance?
Yes.
6'5", 6'3", however that song
There's
goes.
a few banks on
Exactly.
the street,
There is.
so we're always looking at Linda.
Oh yeah, you never know. Just
No
do
luck
like a
yet.
stroll up and down in the
Occasionally,
middle
Juliet
of
will
the
get a
city.
text from me being like,
He's
oh my
here.
God, he's here.
There's this one guy.
There is, yeah,
He
one.
walks past quite sometimes
You should just accidentally just wait outside. Like,
on the bench.
we just bumped into each other. Whoops, I've been here for 4 hours, but you know,
Oh.
it was an accident.
I'm just gonna work outside, guys.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So as a quick overview of like your wedding planning so far, what have you done?
Not much, but the big ticket items, and then everything else has been buried in denial. So we have a date, we have a venue, celebrant photographer, and
Yeah.
a wedding planner. That's kind of
Okay.
it, and bridal parties.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
That's a bit.
Yeah.
I haven't done any of the nitty gritty. I'm kind of hoping my wedding planner will do all of that
Yeah.
for me.
Oh yeah.
But we're still just that little bit far out that as an anxious type A girly bride, I'm just constantly thinking, what about this and this and this? I don't
Yeah.
know how to do it. And my partner's like, it's fine, we have time. And my wedding planner is working her magic in the background. She's like, you're way too early and way too organized. So
Yeah.
we've done the big things,
Yeah.
Which is the main
but
stuff.
a lot
Yeah.
to go.
When is the wedding?
Late November 2025.
Okay. Oh
Okay.
yeah.
We,
You've got
about,
ages.
about 2 years after we got engaged.
Right,
So
yeah.
plenty of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I
Very
mean,
nice.
so just over a year out now. I mean, I think that's good.
Yeah. How did you go with your bridal party? Like, did you and your partner decide together how many people you were going to have each? Or
We together, yes and no.
Yeah.
So we had a pretty clear idea of who we are going to have, but my problem was I didn't know how many I was having, and for ages I really wanted even, and we've actually gone uneven bridal
Oh.
parties
Yeah.
because I'm going to have 5, including my maid of honor, and then he's having 4,
Yeah.
and he had tossed up this idea of like, oh, I guess I could pick a 5th, but I'd feel like I'm being forced to.
Yeah.
And so trying to be modern bride and think, okay, well, bridal parties aren't always even
Yeah.
anymore. And it's not even about which side, like having just girls on the bride
Yeah.
side, you know, mixing things up
Yeah.
if we, you know, it's very normal. So we're having uneven. We're doing everything together essentially. So we knew had a pretty clear idea of who was going to be in our bridal parties, but at the end of the day, it was I needed to make the decision of whether I was happy to have uneven because he was pretty set on having 4.
Yeah.
And he was like, look, I don't really want a 5th, so
Yeah.
you need to decide if you want
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
I love that. I like that you've gone uneven, or like you've just stuck to what you wanted.
Yeah.
I had to decide at the end of the day, it wasn't about having the perfect aesthetic
Yeah.
Pinterest photos of even bridal parties. It was more
Yeah.
about who's up there with me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then who's going to be in the room getting ready with me in the day.
Yeah.
I have sort of unofficial bridesmaids and then like my actual bridesmaids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I have too many people in my life that I want to have involved.
Because you didn't have any, did you?
No, we
Yeah.
didn't have a bridal party
Yeah.
at all.
That's super modern.
Yeah.
Kind of like the release of pressure and
Yeah.
not having to have
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, well, we had a very small wedding with literally just our families.
I love that.
And so we were like, the only people who would potentially be in our bridal party was like my sister then and his brothers.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, it's just not worth
Well,
it.
they're
We
there
may as well.
anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But I think like uneven is so fine.
Yeah.
And it's so much more important, yeah, like you said, to think
Yeah.
about like who's actually going to be with you there
Yeah.
on the day and who you want
Yeah.
to be there, not just like adding another
100%.
number.
Yeah,
Just
I
because.
agree.
Yeah. On that topic of like the bridal party, you've been a bridesmaid and a maid of honor.
I have.
yes.
I've done
Plenty.
both.
Yeah. How has that kind of like affected the way that you're going into like your planning for your bridal party?
I think I'm a lot more empathetic and open-minded to the pressure and expectation that's put on a bridal party, but then also the financial stress as well.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the girls don't have a say in what I'm doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's my choice to I want them to have hair and makeup done. I want them to spend a weekend away for the wedding that's not in Melbourne CBD. I want them to wear a certain colour. So because there are all of those things that I'm making as a choice, I want to make sure I'm considering, okay, if I'm going to ask them to wear a certain dress, I don't want it to break the bank, or I want to offer to chip in to pay for it, or split the budget so that they're not having to pay for everything. And the same thing goes for a bachelorette. I have my expectations instead of in the way of, oh, well, this is what I want to do. And I'm not going to expect all of you to cover that just because it's what I want to be doing. It's a bit more expensive. So I've come into it with a lot more empathy, I think, and understanding of, okay, not everyone has to say yes to be a bridesmaid, but I want them to be there. So how can I make it easier for them and less stressful? Because I think there's this very toxic mindset or discourse that bridesmaids have to deal with bridezilla and they have to take a loan out to be a bridesmaid and wear the most expensive things. And at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't be. And I hate that weddings have become such a overpriced industry. But I'm trying to make it more fun and give, not expect my bridesmaids to be slaves, but they're my girlies that I want there in the day. They're not slaves. So it's sharing the load. It's having them be my support circle rather than, oh, do everything for me.
How do you, on that same kind of note, because I'm my sister's maid of honor, so we're starting to discuss like the hens party and stuff. But how did you find, or do you have any tips for me in terms of organising something that is kind of affordable for everyone? Because like that's where we're kind of at, where we're like, we want to do this really cute, fun thing, but it's also, is it too much for people to pay? Because
I think it's not okay. The first one I've learned is booking accommodation is one of the most expensive. I think doing something like a long lunch is way more doable, or a cocktail class, something that doesn't have to be as expensive as a trip to Bali, or then giving people options throughout the day. So the bachelorettes that I've planned, we've decided, okay, if you want to do lunch, we can pay a portion, or that if they want extra, they pay for their drinks. And we've kind of balanced it out and been very clear up front. Okay, if you want to do this and this, it'll cost this much. If you want to do the whole day, it'll cost this much extra, and gave people the choice of not needing to be there for everything.
True. Yeah. That's
I think that was a big one. And then alcohol ends up being a really big, expensive part as well. So where we could, I had a friend whose hens I went to. I wasn't a bridesmaid for it, but what they had done was, I think, BYO'd some alcohol or had limited people to say, great, we will cover this much. If you want extra, you can pay for yourself, just to try and balance out the financial strain for guests and bridesmaids as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that makes it hard too when you have like the bridesmaids there and a whole bunch of guests, because like you also don't want to put the strain on the bridesmaids to like have to cover all of the guests as well.
I don't think they should be. I think it's okay to ask attendees to pay, but I think it's about being upfront. Hey, if you don't feel comfortable, we'll see what we can do with this amount of money, or just trying to work it out. But it should never be so out of reach that people should be having to go without something for that week, because living is expensive. So this is, especially having a hens is nice to have. So how do you make it attainable for as many as possible?
Yeah. I love that. What are you like hoping to do for your hens?
I would love to do a weekend away. So I originally wanted to get married in Mornington. And I had this dream of having an oceanfront wedding, or a wedding location that you could see the ocean. And didn't find a single venue that covered that. For everything else we wanted as well. So I want to do a weekend in Mornington with the girlies. Literally just a house, maybe go to a spa or have something at home. I'm not a big party gal. So for me, having a weekend away that's quite low key is the dream.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Very cute.
Hopefully it doesn't break the bank.
I'm sure it'll be fine. That sounds really good though.
Yeah. Did you do anything for your hen? Did you have a hens?
I just did like a winery tour.
Oh, cute.
See, that's cute.
Yeah.
I'm not big on wanting to do getting blackout drunk in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
It just doesn't excite me.
Yeah.
But my friend who recently got married, who's one of my bridesmaids, all she wanted was to get drunk, go to one of those naked man shows, as I call them. There's definitely a better term for it. But like fun kind of Magic Mike shows. And that's all she wanted.
Yeah.
And she got that and she was thrilled.
Yeah.
I can't imagine something worse for myself. I'm like, I don't want that.
Yeah. I think my sister wants to do karaoke.
Fantastic.
In a theatre kid is like,
Hell
I want to
yes.
sing.
Can I come, please? I'll sing some High School Musical for you. Some Mulan, some Lion King. I'll be there.
Yeah.
That'd be so much fun.
I know.
I'm so jealous.
Very keen.
Yeah.
It's not too late. You add it on to yours.
True, I haven't planned
Yeah.
anything, so I
Little
could.
karaoke
Maybe I'm
machine.
going to do karaoke. I'll let the girls know. I'll send this snippet to my bridesmaids.
Okay, so obviously, like, you're about a year into planning now?
Just under,
Just under?
like 10 months, which has gone so fast.
Yeah. How, like, when you first got engaged, like, how did you even start, like, planning? Because I know that trips people up a lot.
I kind of went too hard too soon. The one thing my fiance had asked was, I want a break. I've been planning this engagement for 6 to 12 months. Give me a break. Within a month, I was asking him when we're going to have our engagement party. I'd already lined up all of the wedding venue tours, and I think I just started.
Yeah.
For me, the first thing was picking a venue. I thought if I can pick a venue, everything else can come after.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting to get married for as long as I can remember. So I already had a list on my phone of potential dress stores, potential venues, potential first dance songs, all of these things. So I just started there. I found starting with the big ticket item of a venue, then everything else kind of fell in place. Once we had a date and a venue, great. And that was overwhelming enough. I have a massive spreadsheet of, it was like 80 venues or something that we then whittled down to places we wanted to tour.
Yeah.
And it was based on location, and then we sat through together eventually and went through, great, do we like the vibe? Does it have the space we need? Does all of these things that we had as our non-negotiables list, and we kind of went from there.
Yeah. I love that. How did you pick a date? Like, did you have a date in mind, or was it just venue?
I can't remember why, but I originally wanted a September wedding.
Okay.
But in Melbourne, a September wedding is going to be cold or footy related or raining. And so we ruled that out.
Yeah.
And then we knew, so because we got engaged late October, we didn't want to get married any sooner than a year.
Yeah.
And so it was essentially, okay, would it be late 2024? Okay, no, that felt too close. We then started looking, okay, what are the transitional seasons in early 2025, kind of March, I guess. We knew we didn't really want to get married in winter or summer. We prefer that, like most people in the wedding industry, those transitional seasons. And then we thought, okay, well, we could do March, but March 2025 felt too soon. So we then just pushed out another 6 months to the end of 2025, and by process of elimination, September too cold, October too unpredictable, November sounds nice, December too Christmassy. I don't know why, but to me, December is just Christmas, and I don't want a Christmas associated wedding.
No.
Yeah.
So we picked November.
Yeah.
Kind of just by process of elimination. And there was a date I wanted because it had the number in it had significant meaning to us.
Yeah.
And then it was a $6,000 or $8,000 difference to get married the day before on a Friday instead of a Saturday.
Oh,
So
wow.
I settled.
Yeah.
And I was convinced, okay, let's be rational. It's just a number. We can celebrate a new date with a new wedding date, and we can use the money towards something else.
Yeah.
And so we did that.
Yeah, I love that.
Very cute.
It is like crazy how much cheaper it is.
Yeah.
Not
Turns
being
out,
on a Saturday.
Friday is the way to go.
Yeah.
Go for a Friday.
Let's go.
Yeah. Fridays and
Yeah.
Sundays. Yeah, I was kind of the same, but I did not settle for the cheaper day.
I was what's the word? Rationed with, not rationed. He made a deal with me.
Oh,
Negotiated?
Negotiated.
Yeah.
I was negotiated down because I said, I want this date and this Saturday.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, well, you can get a wedding planner with the money we save and use that towards a dress or something else. I was like, all right, I'm in. Deal.
All right. I love that. How did you, well, I mean, that's kind of how I guess you landed on getting a wedding planner, but had you always wanted a wedding planner?
Yes and no. I liked the idea, I think, of a wedding planner. I think this romanticized of like luxury view of having a wedding planner. Oh, it's so fancy. Oh, it's cool. And then we started getting wedding planning happening, and after we got engaged, I thought, oh, I actually want to do this myself. This sounds really fun. And then we had a lot of arguments about just just the stress of it and how much there was to do. And it wasn't that my partner didn't want to help, but it's just he works a lot and isn't as passionate about wedding things as much as I am. And it kind of came to a thing of, okay, well, I don't even know what I want. I'm so indecisive. We toured 18 wedding venues.
Oh, wow.
I've tried on 35 wedding gowns.
Yeah.
I need to explore every option before I make a choice.
Yeah.
And it started overwhelming me, the thought of, how do I pick a font design or a color scheme or florals?
Yeah.
And so getting a wedding planner was our way of almost meeting in the middle of, okay, we can still be involved, but it's not going to hurt our relationship. And it just alleviate a lot of stress because we're both so busy. So that's how we ended up getting a wedding planner. We weren't even going to get one originally. It was just, that's an added cost to the wedding, but it's already been so beneficial having her.
Yeah. Definitely. And I feel like you said, you kind of like went too hard too soon. Like having the wedding planner there, like you said, being like, no, it's fine. Like we've got it all under control. Just makes it so much better like, in terms of your stress.
Yeah. And I think the toughest part about having a slightly longer engagement, if you call 2 years a long engagement, is no one really tells you what the timeline is. When should you be picking flowers? When do you need to get a dress? When do you need to send out invites? That was our biggest struggle is we just didn't know if we were on track, behind, way too ahead of schedule. We had no idea. So she's been great, our planner. Just helping reaffirm and reassure me that, okay, we don't need to send invites 2 years in advance. It's fine.
It's okay.
We can deal with the guest list later. That doesn't need to be finalized yet. I think a venue and a date were like an address were some of the things that take the longest. So it's okay, let's start with those. Can deal with the rest later.
Yes. Okay. Now we've mentioned the dress. Let's go to the dress. Wait, so you mentioned you've tried on lots of dresses.
It's got to be at like 30 or 40 by now. I've been to 7 bridal appointments. But the good thing is when I try on a dress, I know immediately if I like it or hate it. So I'm good like that. I've got 2 dresses that are currently
top of the list.
I've got 3 more appointments booked.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see. But I know I want to make my choice 12 months out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Done. Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
And then I'm going to unfollow every single bridal account ever.
Yes.
I want to see nothing. Get out of my algorithm.
It's so hard to get away from it.
I know. I'm also just in that era where all of my friends or influencers I follow, everyone is getting married and engaged. I think, oh, what about this? Wait, what about that? Wait, how much does that cost? Can I have that?
Do you have any tips for people who may be overwhelmed by that process, or like in terms of too many opinions coming in? Like, were you okay with
I struggle with that
opinions?
because I'm a person that chases opinions. I want feedback from my friends, my family, but I think my biggest advice is at the end of the day, just you've got to trust your gut. And if everyone hates it, it doesn't, at the end of the day, it can't matter. Because it's what it makes you happy. You can't just be doing it because it makes someone else happy. You can't pick the dress that your mum likes so you don't. Or a venue that is your partner's dream but you hate it. It's, I think, all about compromise, and you're going to have to lose a little, you're going to have to give a little, and that's just that ebb and flow. It's going to happen, and that's pretty normal. But I think sometimes cutting out the noise and trying to just sit with it yourself and not actually asking for other people's opinion can help get through all of that. That's what I found, just sitting with myself and my thoughts. I think, okay, what do I think? What is my first gut reaction, and kind of going off that.
I feel like that's one of the kind of good things about wedding planning that I found was you kind of know straight away in yourself, like what you were saying with the dress, whether it's a yes or a no. And you just have to like stick with that and try not to let the outside noise get to you.
I found dress shopping to be the toughest one. Because I'll come out in a dress and I think, wow, I look phenomenal. This is amazing. And then someone will say, you can do better. And I know they mean it well. But far out, that's crushing. And it can be such a diplomatic experience. Sometimes I still love dress shopping. I'm having a great time. But you've got to be, at the end of the day, the one that makes the final choice.
So when it comes to like picking your wedding themes and, you know, your dress or your flowers or anything like that, where are you like getting your inspiration?
I am actually a really big TikTok inspo person. I don't Pinterest board as much as people think I probably do, given how much I'm in the social media universe.
Yeah.
TikTok is kind of where I look first, and then I'll go to Pinterest to find inspo for my planner or to share with the girls so I can kind of find the best reference shot. But I definitely start with TikTok, and I'm just in the algorithm of wedding planners, brides to be, old brides, just the whole wedding curation is in my feed. So I feel like I'm exposed to it a lot naturally. But yeah, TikTok and Pinterest is probably my two biggest.
Yeah, I love that. Is there anything that you've seen like either on TikTok, Pinterest, or a wedding you've been to that you're like, oh my God, I love that?
So I follow a YouTuber called Law DIY, and she she got married in April and is just very colourful. She had the most colourful wedding, was beautiful. And up until that moment, I thought, oh, I'm going to have the classic green and white florals, you know, very timeless, matches our venue. Great, beautiful. I saw her wedding, thought, oh shit, I need colour. Not as much colour as hers. Hers, everything was just full dialed up on colour, which is perfect for her and it looks beautiful. But I thought, okay, I need to add in something. And that was probably one thing. The other thing from her wedding, she had something called a twinkle tent, which is basically a marquee of just lights.
Yes, I've seen those.
And look, her venue was all outside, so it had the space for it, and our reception is going to be inside. But we have a little outdoor area, and as soon as I saw that, sent it to my planner, I said, I don't know how, but I need some form of outdoor light. It's not going to be as extravagant as their twinkle tent, as they call it. And I don't know how many tens of thousands of dollars that would have cost, but I was like, I need lights outside. I don't care how. That and colour.
That's what.
So they're probably the two biggest things I've seen. I'm like, oh, I need this.
I need it.
I love that. Yeah, colour lately, I've been seeing it everywhere and I'm obsessed. It's like the one thing now that I'm like, damn it, why did I do white and green?
But it's so timeless.
It is,
I think my fear is that I don't want it to be colour vomited everywhere. But just tasteful colour. But not orange. I'm not an orange girly.
Yeah, same. I'm not an
I was
orange.
very clear with my planner when we were talking about theme. I said no orange.
No orange.
Okay.
No orange. She said, you're not an orange person, I know. This is why I hired her. She's like, she's in my brain.
That's so good. What has been like your least favourite part so far?
Building a guest list. Easily. And talking budgets. I run from numbers, and the thought of not having someone on the guest list, or I'm a big people pleaser, and everyone says, oh, you don't need to invite them. Cut them off the list. It's your wedding. It's fine. Yes, but they don't have to deal with the repercussions of what if a friendship is ended because I didn't invite them to my wedding. But then how much are you going to pay for someone to play nice just to have them at your wedding? That's what I'm struggling with. And we originally didn't want a massive wedding. We wanted sort of 70 to 80 people. The guest list is sitting at 100, 110 at the moment. And it's just, oh, we'll just add one more. Oh, two more. Oh, but if you invite that whole group, you have to invite that person. It's like, oh, we're not as close to them. What's our friendship been like the last 3 years? And so I'm agonizing. It keeps me up at night. That's been the hardest part.
Yeah, that's tough. It's like, so hard to think about it because you kind of get caught up in, oh, we're spending so much on the wedding anyway. Like, what's another... What's $150
exactly
for one more person? But like
you
when you're adding
4 or 5 times.
What's an extra $10,000? That's a lot.
How about, did you invite people to your engagement party that you're not going to have at the wedding?
I think there are some people that were at the engagement party, and I think it was at the stage of life. It was great. We're friends with them now who might not make the wedding cut list, but I feel like it wasn't necessary. I didn't go into the engagement party thinking, oh, let's invite more people and then have less at the wedding. It was pretty much everyone who's at the engagement party will be at the wedding. But there were some who extended family friends, for example, that we think, you know what, it would be nice to have them there, but we don't want them. That sounds so mean. Don't want them. They will not be at the wedding potentially. But I can't commit to a list right now. And everyone's saying, oh, my friends all checking, how's the wedding going? I've said, you'll get an invite eventually. I can't do it.
Not right now.
I feel like that's hard too. Like if someone asks you like, oh, you know, how's the wedding planning going? And you know that they're probably not going to make the list. It's like, oh, yeah, it's like going really great. Like
I struggle with it. And I hate when people expect something, whether it's to expect to be a bridesmaid or expect an invite or expect something that's wedding related. Like, please, you're making this worse.
You got another question? kids at the wedding? Yes or no?
No.
But the hard thing is that there's someone, I don't actually know if I'm allowed to say it, but there's someone in one of our families who is expecting a baby.
Yeah.
Which is very
okay.
exciting. And the baby will be 1 by the time we get to our wedding. I think the only exception is probably going to be immediate family babies.
Yeah.
As much as I'm just not a kid person. I
Yeah.
don't really love kids. They're very loud and I don't want to be paying that money for that. And,
Yeah,
or
I
even
agree.
for our friends or siblings or cousins or whoever who are parents.
Yeah.
I want them to have a night off and enjoy it. So there will ideally be no kids, but there will probably be exceptions for immediate family.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think when the day comes, that's probably what I'll do. Where it's like
just-
immediate family, fine, but anyone else, no.
Yeah.
I don't want a kid corner.
Yeah, no.
I don't want
don't
someone
want that.
ruining my photos or
cocktail corner.
putting. I remember it was either a TikTok video or a Reddit thread or something, but it was a photo of a bride and a kid had gone their sticky mitts on the dress,
Oh,
and I can't unsee that. I was
Yeah.
like,
I
no.
think I saw something like that as well, and she like wiped her nose or her mouth or something on the dress.
Like blowing their snotty little kid nose on the dress.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, thanks.
no, I can't. That's an added stress I don't need.
Yeah. What's been your favorite part?
I think venue shopping.
Okay.
Going to tour
That's so
venues
interesting.
Yeah.
was so fun.
Yeah.
I pretty much organised all of it, and I'm just that excited me.
Yeah.
But we would do 2 or 3 a day because we would go out to Mornington or Yarra Valley, and I thought, okay, if we're going to drive that far and it's like a 20-minute tour per venue,
Yeah.
let's make a day of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got to just be freshly engaged
Yeah.
and see all these beautiful venues and be treated to wine tastings and we'd have lunch together and we'd debrief. That's been the best part, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I love dress shopping, but that's overwhelming to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finding a venue's been probably one of the best parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
sweet.
loved it.
I can see that, like, because you're able to spend the day with your fiance and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
just revel in like, oh my gosh, like we could be getting married here.
Yeah.
That was it. I think, I could walk down the aisle here.
Yeah.
I'd have our first dance over there. And I think because I didn't really know what venue I wanted, touring so many just made it fun.
Yeah.
We spent pretty much every weekend in December and early January touring venues, and it was exhausting. But it was Christmas time and it was
Yeah.
summer and it was just really fun.
Yeah.
Been engaged 2 months. Like,
Yeah.
we're planning a wedding. It was very exciting.
Yeah. Before all the stress, like
Before all the stress and all of the money.
Yeah. What kind of venue have you landed on?
We have picked a garden venue
Okay.
in the
Yeah,
Yarra
stunning.
Valley.
Stunning.
And I'm not. I'm keeping my venue a surprise.
Oh,
I
yeah.
haven't
Oh,
told
yeah.
anyone on my
That's okay.
social
Yeah.
media. My friends
Yeah.
know, obviously, and
Yeah.
family. But we've picked an outdoor ceremony spot, and then
Cute.
everything's at the same venue. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
ceremony, cocktail hour, and receptions all just at one venue.
Yeah.
Keeping it easy.
Cute.
I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah. One venue weddings just makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you're like fully dreading other than the guest list?
I think having to actually commit to a theme
Yeah.
really stresses me out because I feel almost locked in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I struggle with that commitment, I guess,
Yeah.
a little bit. So actually sitting down and deciding, okay, well, what are our invites going to look like and what color scheme and what flowers, and actually committing to those bigger decisions, I think scares me a lot. For some reason, picking a venue was okay,
Yeah.
but picking those minute details that actually ladder up to the whole look and feel of everything,
Yeah.
I think scares me along
Yeah.
with the guest list.
Yeah.
I feel like what makes that hard as well is, especially for you, like you're planning quite far out still. It's like, am I still
Things
even going to
change.
like
Yeah.
this? Like dress shopping as well.
Yeah.
Like, am I
That's
still
what-
going to like this dress in
Yeah.
Yeah.
a year from now? Like,
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm trying very hard to avoid trends because
Yeah.
I know that they'll come and go. And that's
Yeah.
the good thing about working in social media is I know how quickly things can evolve.
Yeah.
So I know I don't want to dress with or shoes with bows.
Yeah.
Bows are really big right now and really cute,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
think they will have their moment
They'll date.
by
Yeah.
the time I get there. And I think they'll date. So I'm very much trying to go for timeless.
Yeah.
And it's a big word. I've said to my planner, I want elegant, romantic, timeless. I don't want it to be trendy. And even when we were trying to pick a videographer, a few videographers will say, oh, trendy edits and trendy, is kind of the way that they describe their outputs and what they creatively deliver. And I thought, nah, that's an immediate no. I want classic, timeless. I want something that's not going to age poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, same.
Your experience so far, what has it been like compared to like a year ago before you'd even started planning what you expected?
Ooh. I think there's been actually a lot more downtime than I expected. I think I was expecting to just be constantly planning or paying for something before we got engaged. And in reality, there's actually, you don't have to be doing something every single day.
Yeah.
So that's been a very interesting revelation.
Yeah.
And something I was actually worried is that a lot more people would have opinions all the time, and I was worried about being stressed out by family or friends that they were constantly going to be yapping at me saying, do this, no, don't do that. Didn't really get that.
Yeah.
So that's been nice. So it's actually been, I would say, better than I expected.
That's so good.
But I think the one thing I'm sad about, and maybe this is because I'm a content gal, is that what is life like after planning a wedding? Because I've spent my whole life and a lot of our relationship waiting to be engaged, wanting to plan a wedding. I can't wait. And now that we're in it, there's, you know, a year left of being engaged, I feel this weird, irrational fear of does life end at married? Obviously it doesn't. There's so much to look forward to. Traveling, kids, buying a house, being married. But I think a lot of my life has come to this pressure and build up of being a fiance, the proposal. Even once the proposal was over, I was like, oh, that's done now. I never get to relive that again. And it's this weird trying to, I don't know, this level of like disassociation of like, you know what, there is so much to life than just being a fiance or getting married. There's so much, and this is an incredible time of life. But there is still so much good to happen. So that's a weird experience I didn't quite prepare for.
Yeah. I definitely can understand that. We did an episode about like post-wedding blues because your life is just consumed by weddings and wedding planning, especially if you've been like dreaming of your wedding for your whole life, and then suddenly it's over in like one day. And you're like, what do I even do with myself?
I found that even with post-engagement blues, it was so exciting to be the the newly engaged couple, and we got to tell the story and celebrate with friends, and then other friends started getting engaged, and it's like, oh, they're the shiny new toy. It's like, and you'd be so excited for them. But it's like, oh, okay, we're just wedding planning now. It's like, you know, back to regular life, and it was this very weird high to a very back to normal. I don't even want to say low because life is great. But it was odd going from this peak that so many people had waited for. Having known us as a couple and knowing me as just a very, you know, yappy, excited, like, I can't wait to be engaged when I'm getting married. When are you proposing? To then that just kind of settling. It was weird.
Is there anything that you're doing now or like thinking about doing to try and avoid that after the wedding?
Planning our honeymoon delayed is probably the big one. So we're looking at doing a mini moon for like a week straight after to just kind of be in that bubble. And then honeymoon like 6 to 10 months later.
I like that. That's a good idea.
I love that.
Also to save. I wish I was made of money. I am not. No. Someone sponsor my wedding. Thank you.
Do you have an idea of where to go or where you want to go for your honeymoon?
We're looking at Europe,
Love
which is very standard for I think most Australians. We are not a hiking couple, and I don't deal well with humidity, so that rules out a lot of places. And there's a few places in Europe that we've just never done Europe before together, and we did our first overseas holiday to Canada and North America last year. So we wanted to do somewhere different, and I just love the idea of going to Paris and Italy for, you know, romantic. So hopefully Europe.
I love that. Will you like start planning after the wedding, or will you do like some before?
I feel like we'll do some before, and then probably lock in most after. We're looking at like a 6-month window, so it should be enough to delay. But I don't know. I'm such a planner.
So will you then be doing 2026 Euro Summer?
That's the plan. And we have another couple who are also getting married a couple weeks before us. About a month before us. And we're looking to be in Europe at the same time. I'm like, oh, we could double date on a honeymoon.
Oh, I love that so much. I wish I could go back to Europe.
Oh, I wish I was in Europe right now.
Wait, wait, no, I'm not. I was about to say I'm going to be in Europe for Euro Summer, but no, I'm 25. Next year, not 26.
Who knows? You might.
Maybe
on
I
another
will do both.
Eurosummer.
Maybe I'll
Full send.
bump into my finance man out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
we
can go. On the street.
All of a sudden, Juliet's also planning her honeymoon Eurosummer 2026.
See you there, girl.
I love that.
All right, final question. What is your biggest piece of advice for our listeners planning their wedding?
I think don't feel pressured to do what social media says.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of expectation that you have to have the most extravagant wedding, the most expensive venue, 3 dresses, and this pressure to have a Vogue or influencer level wedding. I think removing that pressure and realizing that it doesn't have to look like an influencer has $1 million budget. It doesn't have to look like that for it to be a beautiful wedding.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest piece of advice, because that's something I struggle with a lot, that I feel like it has to look like, you know, the $1 million YouTube girly that got married at a private villa in Italy and they all flew in private jets. It doesn't have to look like that for it to be beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
You said about multiple dresses. Are you having just one? Like, have you decided? Are you going to have 2 dresses? Or 3?
Most people that know me, I will be having 2 dresses.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
That's the plan, but I haven't
Yeah.
committed to anything because I
Yeah.
can't just.
Haven't got one dress yet.
my mum is so not against it. She just doesn't understand. She's like, why would you pay so much for one dress and then get a second?
Yeah.
Mum, I need a party dress.
Yeah.
And we
got a
need,
party-
we need a
we got-
ceremony
we gotta
dress. It's
dance.
going to look cute. And then we need a party dress.
Yeah.
But the biggest first world problem I'm having is, do I want my first dance to be in my nice dress
yeah.
or my party dress? What stage of the night am I going to have my first dance? That's honestly one of something that keeps me up at night.
Yeah. That was something that stressed me out
Think
too.
about that. Yeah.
I bought a second dress for like really cheap, like just got one off like Princess Polly or something.
I love that.
And never wore it.
Yeah.
You know what? At least you didn't cost $6,000.
Exactly. Yeah. I just like loved my dress so much and I was
Yeah.
like fine dancing in it. And I was like, you know what? I don't
stick
want
with
to
this.
go away for half an hour
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
going to chill in this.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you let our listeners know where they can find you to hear all about your wedding planning?
Oh, happily. I don't stop talking about wedding stuff on TikTok, and you can find me at Rosie Chong. Just one word. Same on Instagram. That's it. And I guess if you want LinkedIn content, it's just Rosie Chong, but it's not going to be wedding content. I'm sorry.
Yes.
People in my professional
the
network.
mastermind behind personal branding for
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Personal branding and weddings. That is me. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I loved hearing all about your wedding planning.
So did I.
Yay. Thank you for having me.
It was an absolute pleasure. For our listeners, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Save the Date podcast. We hope you learned something new, and if you're currently planning your wedding, congratulations, good luck, and have fun.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you follow or subscribe and leave us a review wherever it is that you're listening.
Make sure to come and connect with us on our socials at the Save the Date podcast and join our Facebook group, the Save the Date community. We hope you have a wonderful day or night, and we'll be back with another episode next week. Bye.
Bye.
Talk all things weddings, jewellery and romance. With love from Cullen Jewellery.
Hello, and welcome back to the Save the Date podcast. I'm Sheridan.
And I'm Juliet, and we are so happy you're here.
We have been getting quite a few questions from you guys lately, so we wanted to sit down and answer a bunch of them for you today.
So sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. Okay, so our first question of the episode is, what do you do if you regret your wedding vendors? That's a big one.
It is, yeah. It
So,
is definitely a tricky one, especially like if you're regretting your wedding vendor in the lead up to your wedding. It can kind of add to the stress of planning your wedding so much. I think the first thing that you need to try and think about is, why are you actually, like, what is it that's making you regret this vendor? And potentially, like, are you just playing the comparison game and still kind of looking at, say you're regretting your photographer, like, are you just still looking at other photographers and now questioning whether you've made the right decision? We've spoken about this before, I think, where like once you've made your decision with anything, whether it's like your dress, any of your vendors, anything like that, the best thing to do is to get off social media and like stop looking, because you're always going to see or find something that you think might be better. But at the end of the day, there is a reason why you have picked the vendor that you've picked in the first place.
Yes.
So you kind of have to try and like take out all of that outside noise and just like, go back to the reason why you chose them.
Yeah. And I know sometimes another situation where you may be getting second thoughts is if your vendor is not shaping up to be what originally they were claiming to be, or saying what they were going to do, and that maybe that line of communication hasn't been as good as you had hoped or you were expecting. And again, that's a very tricky situation where it's like, I feel like still the last resort is to change your vendor. But I think you could definitely start out by expressing your concerns with them, sending them an email, and then go from there. And hopefully they help you resolve it.
At the end of the day, like you said, obviously the last resort is to change your vendors, but you can change them if you're like really, really regretting it and just like it's causing you that much stress. You just do need to be aware that you will likely lose your deposit that you've paid, and then you're going to have to pay like another vendor their full price as well. So it's going to cost you a lot more money by doing that. But at the end of the day, if that extra money is going to make you feel so much better, then it's likely worth it. Yeah.
I feel like sometimes in those really niche situations, sometimes you just know in your gut it's like, this is not a good idea. And unfortunately, you are going to lose that money, but it may, in the long run, maybe it'll save you a lot of stress and happiness.
This also makes me think of, I don't know if you've seen on TikTok lately, I think they're calling it Sepia Gate.
What? No?
Oh my God. Okay. So there's this bride and she picked a photographer who...
Wait, I have seen this.
She chose a photographer who essentially their style of editing is like very warm tones. And basically after the wedding, she got back her gallery and was extremely unhappy with the results. And basically she's like, it's like everything just has a sepia filter on. Obviously this is like a different situation. Like she's regretting her wedding vendor post-wedding. But if you haven't seen those videos, I think I saw someone's been keeping a tally and there's like 50 videos that this bride has made about about her photographer. And there's obviously so many mixed like opinions about who is actually in the wrong, whether the bride is in the wrong for basically choosing someone that didn't fit the vibe that she actually wanted, or is the photographer in the wrong because they're like kind of being, I guess, a little bit seemingly a bit hard to deal with in this like post-wedding process. But that's another thing to be really mindful of, is that like from what I had a look at on the photographer's Instagram page and everything, is that most of the venues that they shot at were quite different from the venue that the bride had. So the like real warm sepia kind of tones seemed a lot more prevalent and pronounced in hers, because she had like all greenery and all this stuff. And so like on the wedding day, there was these beautiful lush like bushes and trees and everything, but in her photos they're like dulled down to a more yellowy kind of color. So that's another thing to just be mindful of with your photographer. Your photographer will have their editing style and they're not going to change that style for your wedding. Like that's just the style that they shoot and edit with. So like make sure that you're choosing a photographer that has shot at venues similar to yours with colors similar to yours, so that like
you have the best chance of like being happy with the outcome as well.
Especially with like, usually it is pretty easy to look at their vibes and be like, oh yeah, this is leaning towards warm tones or this is leaning towards cool tones. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to even just ask them if they don't have examples of being like, look, in my wedding, I know I'm going to have a lot of pink in the florals and stuff. What do you have an example of what pinks would look like with your editing style on top? Because potentially they might just have another random photo that they could do a little edit on, so you could see kind of like what you were saying with the bushes being really green and lush, putting that warm edits on it made it look completely different to all their other product offering or examples that they had. So it's like, I mean, in hindsight, obviously, it's different. But going forward, if you know there's going to be a lot of greenery at your wedding and you're going with a photographer who has a very specific editing style and they don't have an example for you to see, it's not a bad idea for them to just, or ask them to be like, oh, can you like somehow show me?
What is this going to look like? Yeah.
Because it's all colour theory, that kind of stuff, where it's like, I don't know, putting yellow on top of red gives you orange, more orange. you know?
Yeah. It's also why it's such a good idea with your photographer to ask for like a full gallery as well, so that you're like, or multiple galleries of what their other weddings have been like, because at the end of the day on their socials, they're going to post the highlights and the photos that turned out the best with their editing style. And there might be some that didn't turn out as great, and that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them as a photographer, but it just gives you a bit of an idea and a bit more of like a realistic, not standard, but what's the word? Like a realistic expectation, of what the outcome is actually going to be of your whole gallery and not just a few portraits here and there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Do you need to change your name?
No. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no obligation for you to change your name anymore. Like back in the day of, you know, our parents and their parents, they probably were like expected to change their name, but it's just not the way that it is anymore. You can not change your name. You can hyphenate your name. You can choose a brand new name. You can mesh your two names together and like create a fun combined name. But like, at the end of the day, you do not have to change your name.
I've even seen people take like the female's name. If we're like talking just a male and female couple, I've seen the male take the female's name before.
I've seen like people like rock, paper, scissors for whose last name they're going to get. Or like, what was it that I saw? I like flipped a coin or things like that. Like just pick whoever has a cooler name.
Just or a brand new name.
Or a brand new name,
no obligation.
Something that I saw someone talking about, because like if you are like in a like female male relationship, you can kind of feel pressured as a female to change your name, and also you might want to change your name but you're still kind of attached to your maiden name. And I saw something about this which kind of like just eases it a little bit, is that you will always have your maiden name with like a lot of hospital things, government things, enrolling your kids in school. Like they often will ask for your maiden name. So like it doesn't just disappear. It's not like that just name gets like put in the trash and you never see it again. Like you do have to kind of keep using it in the future. It's just now you go by this new name. So
because as a female, it is interesting. Like, did you feel sad about letting go of your maiden name?
A little bit,
because
like,
it is very much your identity up until, you know, you're well into your adult life. And it's like you're changing your name.
It was definitely like a bit of an identity crisis. Like changing my name, and I'm like, oh, like I know I'm not a different person, but like I kind of am. Like meeting new people don't know me as like the name I grew up with. They know me as like my married name. And it is like a little bit confronting and like weird. But I personally, like, I just grew up knowing I was going to change my name. So it was never really, I never became too attached to my maiden name. It was just like, I knew that one day I would get married and change my name.
Yeah.
So the only thing is I never had issues with people spelling my maiden name wrong. Now my surname, and I was warned. Like my husband just would always say to me, like, get ready for it. Like you're going to have, you know, this in the middle and this put at the end or and it's so bad now. Like everywhere.
Do people say it correctly?
Everyone says it correctly. Yeah. But even if I like tell them how to spell it, it still gets spelled wrong. So that's just one thing. Yeah. That you might not have had to deal with, and you may have to deal with it.
Deal with that, yeah.
But moral of the story, no, you don't have to.
Okay, so this kind of flows on from the last point, is how do we actually go about changing your name post-marriage? And I'm guessing it's different in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
But here in Australia.
Yeah, so we'll only talk about in Australia because that's like obviously where we're from and what we know. Obviously, it might be like a totally different scenario in the US. I'm not too sure. But in Australia, basically on your wedding day, you kind of get like a wedding marriage certificate, but it's kind of just like a pretty one.
Yeah.
It's not like official or anything. So depending on what you've decided with your celebrant, if you're going to be registering the marriage or if your celebrant is doing it for you, I think it's about 4 to 6 weeks after the wedding. It might be a little bit more than that. You'll get like your official wedding marriage certificate in the mail, and it kind of looks like a birth certificate in a way. Like it has like laid out in the same way as your birth certificate would be. So you need that before you can even like think about changing your name. Something else is that changing your name in Australia is free, provided you're only changing your surname to your partner's or hyphenating your surname with your partner's surname. If you want to do anything else, then you will have to pay and like go through birth, deaths and marriages and all of that stuff. But it's like, it seems really daunting to change your name because there's so many places to do it, but it is quite straightforward. So once you have your marriage certificate, the first place to go is Vic Roads or Queensland Roads, I don't know.
Yeah, SA Roads.
SA Roads. Whatever like the equivalent is in your state where you get your license. And you'll go there and update your license. And that's the first place that you need to go to. And then once you get your new license, that's when you'll go to Medicare. And with them, you'll have to, well, with everything, you just need to take your marriage certificate with you. So you'll go to Medicare, show them your new license, show them your marriage certificate. They'll update everything for you. Next one to do generally would be your bank, which again, show them your new license, show them your marriage certificate, and then that will be pretty much straight away done for you. Yeah, some places might not really ask for anything. Like I can't remember who it was, like my insurance or something. I just called them up and was like, oh, I just need to change my name. Like I got married, and they were like, okay, like what's the new surname? And that was it.
That was it, yeah. So you're not actually going through, like, you're not changing your name on your birth certificate?
No.
So
that's something that some people get confused with. Because, you would think that, like, you'd have to go to, like, birth, deaths and marriages and change your name officially there. But you don't have to do that as long as you have a marriage certificate. Like, that's all that you need.
That's your legal name.
That's your legal name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you change your name on your birth certificate, I'm pretty sure that can cause like even more issues.
Yeah.
Because on your marriage certificate, it still has your like maiden name. That's all you need to be able to link your birth certificate to your marriage certificate. And then that also links up to your license once you get that changed, because they can see that it's like the same as your partner's.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas like, I feel like it would get even more confusing if you went to birth, deaths and marriages and changed it on your birth certificate, because then your birth certificate name will be different than your marriage certificate name.
Oh, yeah.
and then
it just
not too sure. But yeah, some people might think that you need to pay for it, but you don't have to pay for it at all. It's all free and daunting but easy.
Yes.
We're going to make a checklist for you, so we'll have that linked in the show notes as well, just with like everywhere that you could possibly ever need to change your name.
Yes.
So once you get married, you can download that and just be able to go through that really easily. Cool. All right. Our next question, how do you avoid wedding day drama?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Look, it's one of those things where it's like you can never control someone else's actions, and it's a situation where it's like you can only control your own and how you react.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it's going to happen in some situations where family members, friends, I mean, they're 100% in the wrong to do that at someone's wedding. How I don't just like, how could you be so inconsiderate, first of all? But unfortunately, the only thing you can really control is how you react to that drama. And I think just keeping that mindset of not letting it get to you and just focusing on all the positives of the day is going to be your best bet. I know even leading up to the wedding, there can sometimes be a lot of drama with like, I know sometimes parents can be very difficult with like even like dress selection process, all that kind of stuff. And again, I know it's really hard to speak when I've never been in that situation.
Yeah.
And because I know it's completely different actually being in that situation. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard for me as well because I was really lucky and had like a very smooth wedding planning process. But I would say kind of like you said, how like you only can choose how you react to certain situations. If you can, I would try and have like, if you're going through the planning process and you kind of feel like there might be some drama on the day, pick like a person, whether it's your maid of honor, if they're like, you know, have been easy breezy through the whole thing, or your mum, whoever it is that like, you know, can handle a situation, and let them handle it. Kind of like have it as one of those things that you delegate to somebody and be like, if there's drama on the day, I need you to deal with it on the day because I don't want to hear about it. Like you kind of, if you can, want someone else to be the one dealing with it so that you don't have to, so that you can just choose to ignore it for the day, choose to move on, and then like if you need to deal with some stuff after, then deal with it after.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you do with your engagement ring on your wedding day? One of my favorite topics. Okay, so we've got a few options for you. You can, one, take it off and not wear it at all, but it is always nice to wear it. So you can wear it on the other hand, on any finger, because obviously sometimes your rings can, or even between hands, you can have different ring sizes. So put it on a finger that it fits on the other hand. You can give it to your maid of honor, the mother of the bride, again, so you're not wearing it during the ceremony. You can continue to wear it if you want. It doesn't actually really matter. But yeah, most people do prefer to just have like nothing on that finger, so you can just have the wedding band. But yeah, I feel like they're kind of the three main ones that come to mind for me. Yeah. Oh, another option is actually to put it on a necklace around your neck. Yeah. So you're still wearing it, but it's just not on your hands. If the situation, maybe like if you can't wear it on the other hand because it just doesn't fit. Like I know my right hand, because it's my dominant hand, is bigger than my left hand.
Yeah, same.
So I don't think any of my rings fit on the other hand. I don't think. But yeah, so like you could wear it on a necklace or something.
Yeah, that would be a cute idea.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. Next question. Do you need to feed your wedding vendors? This one is a bit like kind of funny because we've had this discussion before where it's kind of like you're coming to work.
Yeah.
You bring your own food.
Yeah.
However, on the wedding day, yes, you generally do need to feed your wedding vendors. Not everyone, but typically the vendors who will be there over the dinner period. So this would be like your photographer, your videographer if you're having one, your band if you've got one. If by chance you have like a makeup artist that is staying all night for touch-ups, then you would want to make sure that you're feeding them as well. I think the main thing with this is that they don't really have anywhere that they can store food for the day. They're like running around with you. There's no fridge that they can put their food in. So yeah, it can be like a little bit annoying, and one of those, not annoying, I guess, but it can just be one of those like unexpected costs that you don't really think about when you're thinking about how many how many guests you have, and you're calculating that based on your per head count. You kind of need to include your vendors in that as well. In my experience, the venue had like a lower price for vendors. Don't ask me why that is. Doesn't quite make sense. But so you weren't paying like the full, say, $150 for your vendors. It was like a discounted price for them. But yeah, definitely. Yeah. You want to be feeding them.
Yeah. Because, like you were saying, that they don't really, it's not that easy for them to carry around food all day. So, there's not really much of an option, which actually, I remember that episode we were talking about this, because I can't remember if someone asked us or we came across something that was saying that you're also expected to put on a meal for like the waitering stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where we were like, whoa, hold on. They're the type of vendors where you shouldn't expect to have their meals covered, because working at the venue, they should have access to a fridge and all of the stuff that they need. Not a photographer who's running around with cameras hanging off them all day. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. Just make sure with this as well, when you're finalizing your head count and your dietary requirements with your venue, make sure that you ask your wedding vendors if they have any dietary requirements as well, because your venue will be able to cater for that too. But yeah, you don't want to like just put on a generic meal for them and then find out that like on the night one of them is allergic to gluten or something, and they can't eat any of the food. So yeah, just try and remember that when you're getting all of your final everything else for all of your guests, you get it from the wedding vendors too. All right, our lucky last question is, do you have any tips for bridesmaids and or the maid of honor?
Any tips, like in general, or like just anything specific?
In general.
Any tips? I think just staying calm and being that voice of reason, I would say, can go so much further than you think. In just, I mean, this is, I feel like in general, like I'm not married, but like I feel like in other situations where, it's been something special going on for me, and the people around me are the ones who are like, bring me back down and are like, it's fine. You know, be that support system. Don't add to the stress. Just, be that person. Yeah. I think that's probably one of the biggest things you could do.
Yeah. I think as well, something to remember is like, it can be really easy to try and project your opinions onto the bride, but you need to try and remember that like it's theirs and their partner's day. And even though you're involved in like the process and everything, try not to like say that you hate the dress that definitely don't say that you hate the dress that they've picked. Or that like, don't say, oh, I would never have chosen those flowers, or I, nothing like
not
that.
helping.
It's just, it's not gonna help the bride or whoever is getting married at all. It's going to add to their stress. And then it's also going to make them question their decisions as well. So like, even if you are not a fan of something and you wouldn't have picked it for yourself, just keep quiet. And keep those opinions to yourself.
Yeah. And it's like, it's different if it's like, no, I really don't think you should go with this vendor because of this.
Yes.
Like red flag. That's different. Speak up about that.
Yeah.
Definitely speak up if you think there's like an actual issue of something. But separate that from your own personal taste
Yes.
in things.
Yeah. One other thing as well to do as like a bridesmaid or maid of honor is I know that like you still have your own life, but try and just like make yourself available to the couple if there's anything that they need help with. So, and like be easy for them to deal with and willing to say yes if it is within like your means. If they're asking you for help, it's likely because they're like freaking out
Yeah.
and really stressed. Like from experience, when you're getting married, you don't really want to have to ask people for help. So just try and offer as much help as you possibly can. If you're like really good at DIY, offer, even if they say no, just like, you know, make sure that they know that you are willing to help them out with anything that they need.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you guys know, in I think it was our last episode that we did, we shared a whole bunch of your proposal stories and we got like a lot and we're still getting them, which is amazing. So we thought we would start a new segment to each of our episodes, each of our weekly episodes, and we would share a story, a proposal story that we got. So we have picked one for this week and let's get into it.
Okay. All right. I haven't read this story yet.
No.
Okay. My partner and I went to Europe, starting off in Paris. Being the first Euro summer after the pandemic, lots of people had their luggage, including us. Oh, lost their luggage, sorry. Lots of people lost their luggage, including us.
Yikes.
When we arrived, my partner insisted on putting his passport and little did I know, also the ring in the hotel room safe. Oh gosh, which I thought was so weird. He apparently wanted to propose on our first night, but I was so jet lagged that after a first big day of touristing and a 3-hour afternoon nap, I was still grumpy at dinner. The following morning, in our seedy plain clothes, with no toiletries or makeup, we hired electric bikes and rode around Paris before the city came alive.
That's cute.
That's really sweet.
But also so gross.
Yeah.
I know that feeling of like
just
when
being
you've
like,
been on a plane for too long and you can't change out of your clothes yet.
We rode to the Eiffel Tower and grabbed some pastries to snack on while we sat in the park under the tower. I went to lie down in the sun as I was still quite jet lagged and started to close my eyes when my partner pulled out a ring and asked me to spend the rest of his life with him.
Aww.
Oh, I was so shocked and surprised. My initial reaction was a few swear words before saying yes.
Relatable.
Yeah. We finally got our luggage back. Oh, that's good. That makes me happy. We finally got our luggage back a week later and had the most amazing loved up trip. We are planning on returning to Paris on our honeymoon next year.
That's so cute.
That's so sweet.
Also, a week without your luggage.
I know. Well, literally. Like
that
you would
is
actually
crazy.
go buy stuff.
You would have to.
Like just like practical things like underwear, toothbrush.
Yeah.
Like what do you do?
Yeah. Quick tip that if you're traveling anywhere, make sure you put some spare undies
Yes.
in your
carry-on
carry-on
bag.
just in case.
At least a bikini as well.
Yeah.
The essentials.
I feel like a week is a really long time as well because like you might not be spending a week in Paris.
Yeah. Oh, true.
Like I don't know what this couple has obviously planned.
Yeah.
But like
how did they get their bags? Like how did they know where to send them?
yeah. You would have to like extend your stay somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere, right?
Yeah, because I'm guessing you'd have to go pick it up as well.
Yeah.
Not
They wouldn't send
it to you.
Yeah. That is like so stressful. Where was it that we were? I think it was we landed in Rome. Like that was our first stop, kind of like this.
Yeah.
And my